Madridistas, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. We are getting ever closer to the match of the year tomorrow night. You can feel the tension building in this city, I swear. I'm not imagining it. You can just kind of feel it. This is going to be an incredible match. Listen, we've got the PSG Borussia match tonight, which I think is going to be a really cool warm-up for the match tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a very good one. I kind of expect PSG to go through, but I think Dortmund are very dangerous on the counter very quick, so it could be an interesting one. But listen, let's talk about the Real Madrid Bayern Munich. For those of you that didn't see my pre-match analysis ahead of the first leg, watch it. A lot of things that we mentioned there are still relevant to the return leg. But I want to discuss the formation with you, and I want to leave you with sort of 10 thoughts / concerns, sort of ideas going into this match. But let's talk about it. Now, don't forget that tomorrow I will be at Sagrados Corazones, when the bus arrives. I'll take some footage of that and some footage sort of, in the stadium tomorrow night as well. So you'll see some of that when I do my post-match analysis. But anyway, we're getting closer. Let's talk about this incredible return leg. Let's get started. Okay, Madridistas, welcome back. All right, let's talk about the return leg tomorrow. Let's start talking about the formation, the first thing I really want to discuss. Now, if you remember in my preview of the first leg, I had hoped that Ancelotti would play Tchouaméni in center defense with Rudiger and allow Camavinga to come in that pivot sort of defensive midfield position. Now, he didn't do that. He eventually did change things after we went down 2-1, but his initial lineup included Nacho, who has admittedly been playing very well lately. But I'm going to say this again, and I think that hopefully Ancelotti will follow, this time around, will follow this formation. But I really want to see Tchouaméni in the back with Rudiger. He's proven that he can play the center back position really, really well. We need the physicality. We need the height. We need the muscle back there when you've got players, the size of Bayern Munich. And then, of course, Camavinga is just not a player that you can leave on the bench. I mean, in my mind, it's just criminal to leave Camavinga on the bench. I mean, he's one of the best players in the world right now. He does, if you saw my review of the Cadiz match over the weekend, he was the best player on the pitch. I mean, his ability to recover balls, to defend, to move in transition, his quickness, his intelligence, his speed. It's just, he's one of the best all-around defensive midfielders in the world, if not the best. I mean, so I really hope that Tchouaméni will play in the back this time. This is the formation that I really am hoping to see. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to discuss. Secondly, in the first leg, you'll remember that Tuchel, I think, was trying to surprise Real Madrid, and he put Sané and Musiala had switched, right? So Sané typically plays on the right. He started him on the left, and Musiala, usually on the left, started on the right. And I think he was kind of trying to bring an element of surprise, but it didn't work. And so in the second half, he put them back in their natural positions, and they were really, really dangerous. I mean, it's very obvious that Sané needs to play on the right and cut to the inside and shoot with the left. And Musiala, in the one-on-one dribbles, is much more comfortable doing it when he's on the left. So make no mistake about it. I am absolutely sure that Sané is going to play in his natural position on the right and Musiala on the left, but that makes them very, very, very dangerous. So the moral of this story is that we're going to have to be very disciplined defensively. I think Fede is going to have to come back. Carvajal is a better defender than Lucas Vázquez, but I think Fede is going to have to come back and help a lot, against Sané. I also think that, the pivots are going to have to be particular. Even Vini and Rodrigo are going to have to help track back and help defend. And the pivots are going to have to be very dynamic. I mean, Kroos, Camavinga, they're going to have to run a lot. This is one of those matches where you're going to have to run a lot because we're going to have to double up on situations, and we're going to have, defending one-on-one isn't always going to cut it. So anyway, get ready to run, and I hope that they run like it's the last match on earth. Now, number three, a third observation I would make is that I really think that for this match, we need our very best version of Jude. And, he in the first leg wasn't great. He had been ill. He had a stomach bug during the course of that week, and I think it affected him because he got tired very quickly. Now, we do need our best version of Jude. And one thing that I want to say, which I've mentioned before, is Jude runs a lot, right? He presses a lot. He works really hard in his defensive duties. But I don't want him to overdo it, because sometimes, he works so hard in the press that sometimes by the time he gets the ball, he's a little bit tired, a little bit sloppy, and less accurate. So I really hope that, Jude manages his energy level effectively, so that when he is in an offensive role, he still has the freshness that we need, because he's such a dangerous player. So we're going to need the very best version of Jude. Number 4, our strength, and we know this, okay, and I think so does Bayern Munich, our strength is in the one-on-ones on the wing, okay? That's when we are most dangerous. Our positional attack, if we just control the ball and move our lines forward, we're a lot less dangerous than if we steal a ball in the midfield and boom, we run at you and put ourselves in one-on-one situations. So I think what this means is that we're going to have to be when we press and recover a ball, we have to be very quick in the outlet pass. We have to look for the wing very quickly. We need to be very vertical, and we need to find those one-on-one positions where we have Rodrigo and Vinny taking on their defenders on a one-on-one basis. That is our strength, and we need to make sure that we look for those situations. So our outlet transition has to be really, really quick. Okay, number 5, another thing that I'm kind of thinking about is that you're thinking about how the match can progress and how things can develop. If we score first, I'm very worried that we'll start to sort of speculate. We have a tendency when we're in a favorable position score-wise to kind of reduce the level of intensity, to kind of just pass the ball around, and we basically are not ourselves. And I'm really worried that if we do score first, that we're going to get a bit tactical and start speculating with the scoreline, and I really don't want to see that. I think that we need to play every minute of this match as if we were down by 2 goals. We need to be incredibly aggressive. It is true that the best defense is a good offense, and the more dangerous we are, the more on the back foot they can be, I think the better off we'll be. So even if we score first, I really hope that we maintain our kind of offensive aggressiveness, because that's our strength. Number 6, one thing that I don't need to tell you guys know this, but it concerns me, is that a lot of teams come into the Bernabeu and they sort of, they shrink. They get intimidated. It's a very difficult stadium. We haven't lost there all year. And a lot of, it's definitely an advantage, but I think that against a team like Bayern, less so. Okay. Bayern is not a team that will shrink. They're not a team that will be scared. We have to be very aware of the fact that they're going to play with a lot of, a lot of focus and a lot of calm. And, we're not going to rattle them just because of the stadium. So just be aware that Bayern is just not a team that is going to shrink in any way. Okay, number 7, I just want to talk about the high press really quickly, because our high press doesn't work particularly well a lot of times. If you look at the first match in the first leg, we were kind of positionally up front a lot of times, and we were in a position to press, but we didn't. So it doesn't, I don't really understand. If we're going to have men forward, as they're trying to bring the ball out, we should be trying to press and steal the ball. But to just be up there positionally, sort of walking around, doesn't really make a difference. So, my concern is that our high press, unless we really turn it on, isn't going to be very effective. But I'm very afraid that theirs is, because when they press, it does make us very uncomfortable. And, we had a very hard time getting the ball out, especially in the first 20 minutes of the first leg. So I'm just very worried about that. I think it's going to be very important for Vini to track back and help us with those outlet balls. I think, Kroos is going to have to be very mobile like he was. I mentioned this in my analysis of the first leg. But, we're going to need everybody to help to oxygenate kind of the exit of the ball from the back. But, their high press does worry me. Okay, number 8, and again, this, sounds obvious, but, I've mentioned many times that to win the Champions League, you have to be very good, but you also have to be lucky, because any little thing can change the destiny of a match, the direction of a match. So I think that our concentration level needs to be 100%. We cannot make mistakes. This is a competition where one single mistake can cost you, a match and the tournament. So, we need to be absolutely concentrated and take every single ball seriously and not lose balls in the midfield. So I'm just, very concerned. I think we need to really concentrate and be very, very serious and never be lax at any moment. Number 9, and I think, this is kind of a function of everything I just mentioned. We use an expression in Spain when we're talking about a game where the other team is attacking well, and there's always spells where you're not in control. We call that knowing how to suffer. And I think that for this match, it's such a relevant term because we're going to have to know when to suffer, because there will be spells, have no doubt about it. There will be spells where they will be pushing on the front foot, they will have control of the ball, and we're going to have to be very disciplined in the back, the way we were in against Man City, and we're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to know, we're going to have to suffer, and we're going to have to know how to suffer for certain extended periods, because Bayern Munich is not just going to give us the ball and walk away. They're going to push forward, so we're going to have to be prepared to suffer that defensive sort of role like we did in Manchester. Number 10, and I mentioned this one in the first preview as well to the first leg, we have to be very, very careful with aerial balls and with set plays. They're very experienced. These guys are very big. They're very powerful. And historically, Real Madrid has struggled against very physical teams in set plays. Corner kicks and, fouls sort of just outside the box. Any kind of aerial ball going in, we tend to struggle with. So I think we're going to have to be very focused on that. And I think it's one of the reasons that I want to see Tchouaméni in the back. So listen, those are some of my thoughts. Listen, we've only won one of our last 5 Champions League matches, which, sounds dramatic and, might sound like we're not in good form. Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think it means that we're just incredibly resilient. Because if you think about it, 3 of those 4 draws, 2 were against Man City. And I mean, against that kind of opposition, a draw is not a bad result. And then the last one was in Munich against Bayern. So, which again is not a bad result considering the opposition. So that's kind of where we are now. If you ask me point blank, what do I think our chances are? I'm going to say probably 60-40. We do have a bit of an advantage. Like I say, the one-on-ones and playing at home should help. So I think we're about 60-40. But listen, it's going to be brutally tense, brutally difficult. Bayern Munich is a very, very serious club, a very serious rival, and a proper champion. So this is going to be an incredibly difficult match. But listen, those are my thoughts. I'm going to bring you guys footage, like I say, from Sagrados Corazones when the bus comes in, and some footage from the match itself. So you'll see that in my post on Thursday. But listen, those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed it. So, fingers crossed. This is going to be a tough one. But as always, Ala Madrid.